We had Hard Day's Night. We've got Help. We've got Magical Mystery Tour. And each one of those are actually movies that are complete movies from beginning to end, and they've got a storyline. They've all got the whole thing. But Let It Be was a totally different animal unto itself. Let It Be was more or less of a documentary of a film about a band trying to come back together, because at that time there was friction in the band, there were issues, there were problems. So Let It Be was more or less in studio at Twickenham Studios is where it opens up, starting with it. And this is where they discuss and start deciding on what they're going to do. So they're getting back, hence the name, and that's why, everything's all get back as opposed to Let It Be. See, I'm so used to Let It Be. Put up captions. So if you're watching with friends, like I said, or somebody who's not really knowledgeable of who the Beatles are, they go through and they show George Harrison, and they put up his name, George Harrison. They put up John Lennon. They put up Ringo Starr. They put up Paul McCartney, Brian Epstein, George Martin, names like that, Mel Evans, they're putting the names up there. They put up Yoko Ono, showing her as well. In this brand new documentary, they put the captions down below. So they're saying, they pull out one of which I've got them right over there, I should have pulled it out, the Beatle Monthlies, which were fantastic magazines. It's kind of fun to see them thumbing through and looking at the pictures and commenting. And George says, "Oh, Paul, you look good with your beard," stuff like that. And it's kind of fun and kind of joyful the way they're talking back and forth about this Beatle magazine, which is great. Never seen that before. Never knew that they even looked at those Beatle Monthlies or even had any idea about what they were. Like they do, they did an instrumental. It was really cool to see this. Gosh, right now my mind is drawing a blank. But they do an instrumental song, I can't think of it right now. But anyway, it's instrumental. They're playing and just jamming together. And George grabs the mic and it shocks him. And he kind of backs off real quick. And it's kind of amusing because George is kind of, humorous about it. Or Catwalk. The name of the song is called Catwalk. I knew I'd get it. Back up a little bit. Brian Epstein, their manager, always said to them that no one of them are the Beatles. There's no one single Beatle. All four of them do make up this conglomeration of the Beatles. And as Brian said, if one of you cease to be the Beatles, then the thing will break apart. And Brian said that years and years ago. So they're trying to decide what to do, and Paul's playing piano. And there's some sweet moments with Paul playing the piano, and he does the song that he gave to Peter and Gordon, Woman. And that was kind of sweet to hear Paul. I've never seen that before. And that was really neat to watch him doing that. And then, one of the songs he also did for Ram that he put on there, two legs. He did that in the song. So that was kind of neat to watch the actual video of them goofing around with Paul playing on the piano. But you can tell the friction just between Paul and Ringo. There's just nothing there. This is kind of where actually my footage comes in. Not that I gave to Apple, but my footage that I've got. I've got the bootleg of this, and it's in black and white. Of the whole entire clips of all of this part that's coming in with Peter Sellers, the comedian. He shows up, and I've got all the black and white footage. So it's interesting because this was all done in black and white, all of that part. There was a lot of film that was shot in black and white that they just had on hand to watch to see if they liked it enough to reshoot it, because it was expensive to shoot in color back then. So, really 90% of Let It Be, or even 98% of Let It Be, is in black and white because just the expense of doing color was not an option back then. Nowadays, we shoot color everything, color this, color that. But back then, it was all black and white, and then if they really liked it, the Beatles themselves, they shot it in color. or they had another camera probably right there to shoot it in color as well. So a lot of that with Peter Sellers was all in black and white to begin with. So it was really cool and very interesting to see that in the actual aspect of being in color and Peter Sellers. And I'm really surprised because, John talks about, oh, we left the needles hanging around and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, oh gosh, that they kept that in there, which I was kind of surprised, with all of the drug reference and all that kind of stuff. So overall, I think it was a fantastic film. We've been waiting for years for this to come out, and with the pandemic, it kind of killed it to being in the theater, and that's kind of sad. But we also got treated each and every night or day or whenever you got to see this to a spectacular insight to the Beatles that we never had before. But this has been an incredible journey through the making and the process of the molding of this fantastic Get Back film and ending up into a tremendous Let It Be album with outtakes and regular album itself. But I do thank you so very much for being here and watching this and being a part of my discussion of the whole Get Back, Let It Be film documentary. So thank you so very much, Peter Jackson, for a fantastic job. And wow, I think this will rewrite the history books of what a tremendous film this is, instead of a gloomy, dark movie that it came out originally.